Good evening, wanderers and wool gatherers. Foggy here. Welcome to episode 139 of Wanderings and Wool Gathering. On tonight's episode, we are digging into a new death metal album from the group Sanguisugabogg. Sanguisugabogg. You try it. And the title of the album is called Homicidal Ecstasy. We're going to check in on a special anniversary with Alice Cooper. We're going to listen to the new Jack the Radio and Smashing Pumpkins. Both have a couple of really cool songs out that we thought we would share with you tonight. If you like what you see and hear tonight, subscribe and leave a comment. Feel free to share this with your friends. And tonight's episode is brought to you by the Kokomo Lantern. It's a journalistic endeavor focused upon the simple principles of illuminating the good and eliminating the shadows in our local community. Head over to kokomolantern.substack.com. Get all that awesome content. And I don't do this show alone. I can't. I have to reserve the other seat for the GOAT, the one, the only Metalhead Mundy.
Step inside into his mind. It's boy band time. It's
Metalhead Mundy.
There it is. There's his mind. We're stepping into it.
Ready to blow some minds.
Okay, blow it. Go. Blow our minds right now. Get to it.
Might blow a gasket. I don't know.
Might blow a knee if I stand up too quickly.
Yeah.
So before we even begin and talk about this, I said it at the beginning, but I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but I think this is the way you say it. Sanguisugabogg.
That's as good as anything else. I was thinking it was Sugabogg, but I didn't look it up. So
I know it's two words put together, and it's kind of not a pretty sight when you put the two things together. So you do that on your own and figure that out, because I'm not doing it on the show. So
I feel like we're going to be saying that a lot tonight.
At least for part of it. But you know what? I love branching out. I love doing stuff like this because it's just so out of our wheelhouse. I mean, it is and it's not. It's kind of in the wheelhouse, but it's just like it's on the other side of the fence, but we're standing at the fence kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
but before we get there,
that's really what we have, pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you said.
Sugabogg. Yeah, so we're close. Thank you for that, Jackson. So anyway, go ahead.
We got some new stuff that came out. Friends of the show, Jack the Radio, their project should be coming out fairly soon, but they released another song from it's like basically a 4-track 7-inch record. And this song is called The Swordsman, and it's about the character, the saber-toothed swordsman. So it's another, I don't know. I hate to call it a sequel, but I mean, it's more like, I feel like they're building a story with the characters that are in the mini comic that will be coming with the record. Right. So that's pretty much what the song is about. It's about the saber-toothed swordsman. So short and sweet. It's like 240 or something like that.
Beautiful song.
Yeah, George sounds great. The vocals are spot on. He's killing it. It's really just kind of telling the story of the saber-toothed swordsman. One thing I thought was pretty cool was the guitar solo. I feel like has a bit of a Brian May feel. A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I that was one of my highlights from the song was that solo. It's really good.
Sounds great.
I don't know. Did you? I also kind of got like a little 50s ballad vibe from it. And singing on this one, I thought was cool. And the first thing I thought of when you said the saber-toothed swordsman, when I heard saber-tooth, I thought, oh, they're continuing the creatures line. You know, like we're doing more creatures. This is kind of cool. So, but yeah, if you guys have not listened to Jack the Radio yet, you got to check them out. They are so good. They're just, even if they're like one of those groups where you don't have to like a particular style of music, they just sound good. So, our 2 cents.
Very pleased that we stumbled across this band, and I wish they would come this way touring, but I don't
Going to be a bit.
I don't think they will anytime soon. So hopefully I really want to get down to North Carolina at some point and kind of meet up with them and hang out with them, catch a show or something. So
Agreed. That would be a good time. Great guys, great music. The last record was called Creatures. You can get the vinyl, get CD, you can listen to it on your streaming services.
It's on my wall.
He's pointing to it right there. So I've got the album over here somewhere. And the comic book that comes with it is primo. I'm just telling you, there's no better experience than listening to music and reading a comic to the song as you're doing it. It is a treat. I love it.
Very cool.
Very cool. Well, that's it. So Jack the Radio, check that one out. You can get it on any streaming service. And now, should we tackle it?
Should we tackle what?
Sanguisugabogg.
Don't we have a couple of other things to get to first?
No, we could do this and we can break it up.
Whatever you want to do, I'm ready.
All right. So our listener who is on here tonight, because I can see his comment, Mr. Jackson, invited me on Friday to go to a metal show in Indianapolis, and headlining this show was this group. And I was unable to go. It was kind of last minute, and I already had plans, so I couldn't go. But I thought, at least let's check this out. Let's see what it's all about. Give it a fair shake. And so that's what we did. So Metalhead Mundy and I dug into their new record. And again, we're going to say, I'm going to put the pronunciation up there as we're talking about it so people don't think we're total morons. Well, I mean, more so than normal.
But
Sanguisugabogg, however you say it. And the album is called, where is it again? Homicidal Ecstasy. So we'll leave it at that. Death metal. What was your initial thought, Mundy?
Well, I saw the album cover. Actually, I take that back. The first thing I did was find a video, and you can see like when it was released. So I found a more recent video that I assumed was from this album, and it was. And right away, the first thing that caught my ear was like, okay, this death metal. I know what this is. I've heard a lot of it. I like some. I don't. It's not really my thing, but I like some of it. My big death metal bands are the ones that tend to do things a little differently. So I like Death, Entombed, Obituary, Carcass, stuff like that. And they've been around forever. All those bands have been around forever.
Yeah, Obituary just had a new one recently.
They did, and it's very good. So, this is not anything I would be super into, but I dug it. The video was like a very graphic horror movie, which kind of goes along with the genre. It's just what it is. So it's whatever. I can see where that would bother some people. I don't care about that. It's whatever. It's all, I'm also a horror movie fan, so it's whatever, it's fake, it's art, it's whatever you want to call it. Doesn't bother me. So I watched a couple other videos. I think another one I watched was a song off of this album, was just basically a performance video. They sound really good. I mean, they're, it's typical death metal stuff, very detuned, kind of a lot of part changes, blast beats here and there. And the vocals, I mean, it's straight up, what you're getting. It's death metal, growly vocals. You can't really understand him. Read along with the lyrics. The lyrics are, it's more, more of the same. It's kind of graphic horror movie stuff. It's, played for shock value, really, more than anything. But yeah, they're good. I mean, solid, very talented guys. I dig it.
Yeah. For me, I think where the strength of this album lies is the music. That, like you said, when you're listening to the vocals, if you don't have the lyrics up, you really can't understand them. He's very subdued, or at least they have layered it in a way that the vocals almost take a background a little bit to some of the music. So it's kind of like a drone almost across the
It's almost like some of the death metal bands, I think these guys fit this mold a little bit. It's the voice is, I mean, I don't know, like listening to it, I feel like it's not so much about the lyrics. It could be, but just listening to the song, I don't think it's really about the lyrics. It's like the voice, the vocals are almost another instrument.
Yeah, like the musicality of the vocals
Yeah.
rather than the lyric. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would agree with that. But the highlight for me of this group is, and you said it, the changes. Like there were tempo changes, there were a lot of breaks in the songs that added some little touches, but it was the use of the snare. The snare comes through loud and clear. It's like you have this, super heavy, like the groove is heavy. There's chugging going on. His voice sounds like a drone. And then you got this snare that is opened up and it's got a high pitch and it really comes through clear. And they use it to great effect in most of their songs. And I listened to, like you said, you looked at some videos. So I went to their Facebook page and they had a couple of drum videos. So we had the drum perspective where you get that forefront. It was nice to hear that. It really reminded me of the Gish Siamese Dream era of the way that Jimmy used his snare, because you get that high hit on all those. And it was like, I don't know, it was almost like it just accentuated the songs because everything else was so heavy. But that was it for me. Okay, got a couple of comments here. Necro Deviant was by far the best song. They did that so crazy live. Okay, let me look at my notes for that song in particular.
That song I really dig the opening riff and groove on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a great beginning to that song. Really kind of grabbed your attention.
Yeah, and then they what I liked about that too is it had that heavy intro, and then there was the tempo change midway, and then it picks up in the intensity. And the lyrics, I thought in this one had a little bit more rhythm and flow than some of them. And so, yeah, that was a highlight for me, too. So good call on that one, Jackson. And then he's got one more here. Tortured Whole.
That's not on this album.
Yeah. And it's even louder. Wow. I bet that's the name of an album, actually. I don't know. I mean, I think if you go too much louder with that, it's going to stand out even more.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a good way here. I think it fits perfectly, but it could become overkill.
Yeah, that snare sound, it has that ping to it that, yeah, after a while, I don't love that. Listening to a few songs, is fine, but after a while, that can get old. Mm-hmm. I prefer a more traditional drum sound. I think that's you're falling into the trap there of the Saint Anger. It's just that ping, 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 and it can get old after a while.
Yeah, there was the T-Rot. I'm just gonna say it that way instead of saying it out loud. That song had that a lot of cymbal work. Ping, ping. That was really cool. A lot of double bass. He really hit the blast beats on there and then killed it with some cymbal work. I like that one quite a bit too.
Yeah, that was actually one of my highlights from the album. I really like the dynamics of that song. The part changes. Mm-hmm. They pull out really well. The rhythm is it's a bit of an offset rhythm. It's not like straight up, 4/4. He actually goes into a little bit of screamy vocals on that one for a minute. Is kind of, definitely caught my attention because it was different. So he switched it up a little bit there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, my note was that he breaks the mold here with his yelling, but it was good. I mean, it almost needed it. It was almost too even keel the whole way. I'd like to see a little bit more variation on a lot of the songs, actually.
Yeah, that's why I like this one. It was just a little more interesting than a lot of the other songs.
Yeah. Lesson in Savagery. I liked his lyrics on that one, or the vocals on that one a little bit more.
Another one of my highlights. Those are probably my two favorite songs on the album. The drums were really cool at the beginning of this one. Mm-hmm. When it finally kicks in, there's a really great groove. And just dynamics. It's for me, death metal is the more dynamic the song is, the more interesting it's going to be. And this one hit that mark for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I also liked the Mortal Admonishment I thought there were some really
Okay.
neat elements here with the drum. It was kind of quick and repetitive, and it was sort of ran along the side of the chant, almost like they were working together. I kind of like that. That was cool.
Mhm.
Lots of good snare and tom work on this one. And there was a breakdown midway, and the song really slows down. I like that one quite a bit. There were a number. There's no song on here I was like, this is garbage. I just don't like this song. But there were those few stood out for me.
There was a couple towards the end of the record where I got a little bored with. The what is it? Skin Cushion. That one didn't like the opening of that. Kind of turned me off a little bit. I don't know. It got better as it went, but I didn't love that song.
The thing that saved that one for me was that the vocals were different. They were sort of short, stunted lines that were a little faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, that one was for me.
I feel like one of the things a lot of death metal bands hit the blast beats, on the drums, and I feel like it didn't really come in on this album until like the third track, it was just called Pissed, and I feel like that was kind of the first time we got a little taste of the blast beats. Which is fine. I mean, I don't care. Like, one of my favorite death metal bands is Obituary, and they don't really do that. They're more of a slow, drudgy kind of death metal. But it's there was some guest vocals on a song from another band that I've never heard of. So but I don't know. I listened to the song and I'm like, I can't really pick out where he came in.
I know, same.
So I was like, okay, I guess this guy's on this song.
Well, it said featuring his name. Was he maybe a musician?
I don't know, maybe.
Because I couldn't find it either. So that's why I was thinking, well, maybe it was a musician on it.
Well, I had to look him up to see what band he was in.
Okay.
I thought it said he was a vocalist. Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe I'm wrong. But
maybe he actually just added a little backing, like the two sang together, maybe.
Yeah.
Had depth or something.
But I think that was actually the video I watched. The first video I watched. The song. I mean, the songs are all like, they're terrible, but it's just the nature of the game with the death metal. The song's called Face Ripped Off. And that's one of the less offensive titles on this album.
Yeah.
But I that one wasn't bad. I really liked it sounded like a distorted bass riff, kind of opening it, and kind of slower plodding groove. And it really, the ending was weird. It just like ended very abruptly, and I was like, "Oh, we're done." Okay.
Yeah, there were some super short songs on this. I liked. Let's go to the album closer because we like to talk about that. I did like the way that this one ended. Fiending for Bloodshed was the last song, and it started off going crazy with that snare again, but then it rode it out and it kind of disappeared. The heavy riff, I think, kind of broke through finally in the end of that. I think it fit the end of this album. I think it was a nice closer. Again, lyrically, not,
Yeah.
I love lyrics, but
all of the lyrics on this album. I mean, it's typical death metal fare. It's just, graphic horror movie, cartoony, almost violent and whatever. It's you listen to a band like this, that's what you're gonna get. It's fine.
Yeah, here's an example, and this could be from any song. Edging at the sight of your last breath, nothing more exciting than your death. And that's one of the nicer ones. But it's sort of what most of them are about.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, at a certain point, it's just cartoony and ridiculous. But, it's fine. It's whatever. It is what it is.
All right. Let's score this bad boy. And are you going to listen again?
Honestly, I would probably give it about probably a 2.5 out of 5. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. And this is not something that I gravitate to typically. So I probably won't be listening much more.
Gotcha.
It was interesting. I did enjoy the experience, and it was interesting, but wasn't great for me.
Yeah. I'm gonna go crazy and give it a 3, and that's because of the snare. because it brings back warm, fuzzy memories of Gish for me. With the first time I heard that, I was like, nobody plays the snare like that's incredible,
Funny.
So that does it did feel good. Now I love lyrics, so this really was just no bueno for me. But but I liked it. I mean, the music I thought was pretty good, and it was interesting, and I'm glad we checked it out. And that snare will bring me back. And I think I may go check out Tortured Whole just to hear how in the world the snare was even louder.
Yeah, right.
Because it was very prominent on this record, and for me in a good way. But yeah, 3 out of 5. Will I listen again? I don't know. Maybe not. Depends on what's going on. But I'm glad I did.
Depends on how mad you are that day.
I have other things I can listen to that have more. See, the problem is songs like this that should be angry and get your goat really should have strong meaning. There should be something lyrically behind it that really drives it. And I think you said it right. It's almost cartoony.
It's just gory violence.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
really,
I don't feel that as much, but definitely enjoyed the experience. So
yeah.
Thank you, Jackson, for that. And I bet they would have been fun live. I bet it really would have been good live.
Could have been interesting. I will say, I have seen Cannibal Corpse live.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and that's not a band that I typically listen to a lot. I appreciate their place in metal history. And I absolutely love George Corpse Grinder, the singer of Cannibal Corpse. He is a wonderful human being, and he's amazing and funny.
Actually, Corpse Grinder is actually his real name. So look that up.
Yeah.
It's on his birth certificate.
But I have seen them live, and I mean, it's impressive to see them play this stuff. It really is. This is one of those things where when I hear a band like this, I hear my teachers in high school being like, "Oh, anybody can make noise like this. This is terrible."
Right.
Like, really? Try it.
Mm-hmm.
Play that guitar riff. See if you can figure it out.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, let's just say you don't like the singing. You don't like that voice. That's fine. But there's some real talent that went into making those songs and recording that music because it is good. I mean, they are very talented musicians, just plain and simple. So if you sometimes have to take off your I love country hat or whatever you love and say, all right, for what this is it good in that genre? And I'd say this is pretty good in that genre.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we did bring up Smashing Pumpkins, and they have a new offering for us. And when I heard it, I quickly had to text Mundy. I'm like, we got to do this one. We got to do this one because there have been some that we have not been so fond of, but this one I felt like this is going to be a home run for us. And if we put together our best of from the three tracks at the end of this would probably make that. So this one is called That Which Animates the Spirit, and it is from Autumn Act 3. It's the second song off of Act 3. And to bring us up to date, so Shiny, who was off on his March of Life, which flying into the sun essentially, turned and he has returned to Earth. So rather than just because everybody's anticipating his return, the X and I, instead of, I guess, saying that he's a villain or whatever, they've decided to celebrate him, even though he really is the antithesis of what they are. So this song is about the X and I they're singing this, and he takes the mic after Shiny. Shiny has officially returned, and he's welcoming him back, and the people in attendance begin celebrating, all rallying behind the idea that Zero is back. Not Shiny, not Glass, but Zero. So we've returned to melancholy with Zero. I'm not sure what that means or where that's heading, but I do know that this song was really good. What did you think when you first heard it?
Well, I hated it. No, I'm just kidding.
Never mind.
All that build up, I couldn't resist. But he did. Billy mentioned Zero quite a lot in the song. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that all makes sense, I guess, in his mind. The short acoustic opening I thought was really cool. Sounded beautiful, and I honestly I wish there might have been a little bit more than that, but it just sounded great. I mean, it's a solid rocker. It's just the riffs are great. Billy sounds great. Again, backing vocals shine they wonderful.
Yeah, Katie's
So,
good.
I really enjoyed this song. I really did.
Yeah, I think it was like you said, we've got that nice acoustic going on, and then when the X and I demands your attention, that was like, now it makes sense when you read what it's about. Him taking the microphone, almost like abruptly stopping that. But yeah, I'm so excited that there's some heavy songs on this
Yeah.
that take us back, and not everything has to be that way. They've got really good, softer songs, but I definitely appreciate their harder stuff over some of their electronica. And I really think at the end, when we put together our albums, we could come up with a killer record here.
I agree. I enjoyed, I think it was later in the song when they hit the kind of the chunky riff, like, the more staccato kind of thing was pretty cool. I don't know. I just, the groove, lots of heavy distortion, good groove. I was in it.
Yep. That song is called That Which Animates the Spirit. Of course, you cannot hear part or act 3 until April. So if you want to check out these songs, you need to go to the 33 podcast, and they release one per week. And it's about 12 minutes in to the episodes. Normally, Billy kind of sets up the story to this point, and then they play the song. I kind of interact sometimes with some people on Twitter who are Pumpkins people, and my thing this week was just simply that listening to them one at a time, they're just not as good. But when you listen to them as a whole, it makes so much more sense, especially for the electronic songs that you don't necessarily love. But in the context of the record, it's better. And hearing them one at a time isn't nearly the experience.
Right. I agree with that. Totally.
Yeah. And I guess that's really what, this is the gimmick, releasing them one at a time on a podcast, and it's really smart and cool, and I like the way that he's doing it. But clearly, it's to be released as a total rock opera, so that would make sense. All right, last thing tonight, we have a 50th anniversary.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
it is crazy.
Something like this hits an anniversary like that, and I mean, that's older than me, so and I know, right? And I feel like so we're talking about, obviously, Alice Cooper, his album $1 Billion Babies this week hit a 50th anniversary, and I mean, how can you not love Alice Cooper? I mean, he's just such a showman and just an icon, really, in hard rock and metal.
Yeah, I remember, growing up in the 70s, I had no knowledge of this record, but I think it was at 75 when Welcome to My Nightmare came out.
Probably close.
So yeah, so my brother got that one on vinyl. So that was my first introduction to Alice Cooper. And of course, you look at that title and you see him on there with the makeup and everything, and it's like, oh my God, this guy's scary, And then later he's in Wayne's World talking about Milwaukee, not such a scary fella after all. But
he's a golfer.
Oh yes,
that's one of his great loves in life,
and he's good. Yeah, he's good. But this album, this one actually is better than Welcome to My Nightmare.
Okay.
Now if I go back and listen, Welcome to My Nightmare is not that great, really, and the song Steven sucks, so I'm already mad about that. But this album's really good. $1 Billion Baby is really good, and it's smart too. There's some really good lyrics and messages in these songs, which is cool and kind of ahead of its time, I suppose.
Yeah, I was kind of diving into the background of the album. I wanted to see who played on it. There weren't really any names that I was too familiar with. Of course, the iconic Bob Ezrin, he did a lot of stuff with Alice. I think they were great partners. Actually, he worked with a lot of bands, but he's done so much with Alice. They've been friends and collaborators forever. And I thought it was interesting that there was a special guest on vocals on the song $1 Billion Babies, Donovan.
Yes.
60s icon, Donovan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's interesting too is you think Alice Cooper, oh, this metal guy. These are just good rock songs. These are certainly like Hello Hooray, such a cool song, but it's got kind of a Floyd vibe in some ways, I think.
Yeah.
And then Billion Dollar Baby is just, I mean, it's just a great song. No More Mr. Nice Guy. That's probably the one that I think everybody knows, right?
Iconic. I mean,
yeah, absolute classic.
On Spotify, you see like the number of listens.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, No More Mr. Nice Guy is like almost 60 million.
Oh, yeah.
And the closest thing to it is Billion Dollar Babies, and it's got like 6.5.
Wow. Yeah. But isn't No More Mr. Nice Guy in a bunch of movies too?
Probably.
Feels like it.
I'm sure it's been used quite a lot. Megadeth covered it in the early 90s, and that was featured in the movie Shocker, I think, which is an absolutely horrendous movie. It's terrible. But yeah, it has a actually decent kind of hard rock and metal soundtrack, which featured Megadeth doing No More Mr. Nice Guy. So
yeah, that's such a good song.
Yeah.
Of course, the song Mary Ann is on there, but he didn't know how to spell her name correctly, so let that go. No, it's got really cool. That's a really cool piano song. Mm-hmm. It's definitely not metal, but this is an awesome classic rock record from the 70s. Yeah, and if people haven't listened to it, you really need to. And if you're thinking, oh, it's Alice Cooper, no, go back and listen. This is a really strong record, and he's got a good voice. Like, you just kind of look at the theatrics of what he does, and you just think he's kind of a gimmick guy, but he's good. Music's good. I mean,
yeah, always loved Alice. I kind of have an interesting story about him. It's not my story; it's secondhand. Mm-hmm. I had a study hall in one year in high school. I don't even remember what year this was, but the teacher that supervised the study hall, he said when he was in high school, I don't even know how we got to this conversation. I wasn't involved in it. I was listening to him talk to a group of kids, and they must have been talking about prom, because this guy said when he was in high school, Alice Cooper played his prom.
What?
Yes. Alice Cooper played his prom, and I think they got in trouble because he like tore the stage up and all kinds of stuff. I was like, interesting.
Wow, that is so cool. What year was that?
I mean, it must have been
late 60s.
So this album came out in 73.
Right.
I don't really know when Alice started, but
I think there were 2 records before this one.
Yeah, so it had to be like the late 60s, probably.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper played
crazy.
Prom. Oh man.
Now, I'm sure you know the teacher, but
I'm sure. Wow.
He's long retired now, I believe, but
never know. You never know. Well, awesome. I hope people will check that out. Billion Dollar Baby, 50th anniversary. It feels like this year there have been so many anniversaries, and I know every year there's going to be plenty. Not like 50th, but just was released this day, whatever. Yeah. And it's kind of
there's going to be more and more because we're getting old.
You are.
Okay.
I decided I'm not going to get old anymore.
Well, let me know how that works.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Well, that wraps up the fun for this evening. But next week, we have a huge show. I can't even believe all the music we're going to do. There's so much music to talk about. We can't even name it all here.
Yeah, so we shouldn't try.
No, we should just keep it to ourselves.
Total surprise for the audience, not us. We know what we're doing. Yeah. We always know what we're doing.
Oh, by the way, last night, I don't know if you had a chance to check it out, but SNL was Jack White. Okay. Oh my gosh, his performances were so good.
Okay.
Absolutely unbelievable. They were off this may have been a rerun, but it was off his latest record, and oh my gosh, were they good. He's good anyway, but we were talking today, like, think about him as a musician, how many great guitar riffs and just songs where you hit it and you're instantly like, bam, that's Jack White. And like, he's just got a knack for that. I'm not saying he's like on Zeppelin level or anything, but when you hear those riffs, you instantly know Jack White.
Yeah, he's got something. That kid might do something someday.
He might even start a record store. Which, have you ever been to Third Man?
Oh no.
It is
I think
tiny.
I've only been to Nashville like once, and we were basically passing through. We stopped and ate like in that downtown area. And
It's
that was it.
downtown, so it's right in there. It's a small little place. You'd be like, "What? This is his place?" Then it's connected to like a studio where he can perform stuff. But Third Man itself is very tiny.
Yeah,
and it has that little thing in that you can go in and record and puts it onto a record for you, which is cool.
Right.
All right. Well, that is it. So, Mr. Mundy, where can we find you if we choose to find you?
Just Instagram. Take my handle from the show, type it into Instagram, Metalhead Mundy. You'll find me. I'm there.
You will find him there. He won't technically be on the computer, but you can find him there. So, Paul used to be on the show. You can still find him at the Phoenix Supernova and Just Plain. He's been posting some cool music stuff, though.
Yes.
So, you guys should definitely follow Just Plain Paul on Instagram.
Got to hang out with him a little bit last night. So
awesome. We miss Paul on the show. He is the only one who truly knows what the hell he's talking about. We're just posers. So, Paul, come back. Paul, come back. I'm Foggy. You can find me there. And you can find this show. Mr. Mundy does such a good job of doing it. You want to tell us where you can find the show?
Oh, well, we go live where you can see our beautiful faces on YouTube and on Facebook on the Kokomo Lantern page. So thank you, Kokomo Lantern, Mr. Muncie. And then when we post the audio, you can find it on Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, and SoundCloud.
That's exactly how I have it typed over here.
Nice.
You like read my mind. Mundy reads minds.
So
all right, everyone.
I'm doing the Ghostbusters trick. I can see it.
You're like that Sabretooth from Ice Age. He reads minds. All right. Anyway, we'll see you next week. We'll have something else to talk about. Hopefully you'll see us then. Until then, everyone, have a great week. See you next Sunday. Bye now.